When he pulls away, say THIS and watch him come back. Ladies, let me talk to you for a second. You ever been texting a man every day, talking all night, sharing memes, good mornings, how you doing, and then boom, he starts to pull away. The good morning stops. The energy changes. Now you're sitting there staring at your phone like it's broken. Listen to me. Don't panic. Pause. With power. This ain't the time to beg, cry, or send a 4-paragraph text about how you're confused. Now you say one thing and say it calmly. Hey, I notice some distance. I respect your space. Just know I move with mutual energy. That's it. Boom. You drop that line and fall back like a queen in her throne. See, here's the truth. Real women don't chase confusion. You don't need to prove your worth. You are the worth. What you don't do is start acting like you're in a race to fix something HE broke. You don't lower your value because he forgot how to see it. You remind him, not with desperation, but with peace. And let me tell you, peace is powerful. Men remember the woman who didn't argue, the one who didn't blow up his phone. They remember the woman who stepped back and let silence speak. Because when you say, I match energy, I value connection, but I won't chase confusion, you're telling him you're not just a good woman, you're the woman. And you know what happens next? That man starts to miss that peace, that calm, that energy. Next thing you know, he's calling, he's texting, he's trying to come back like nothing ever happened. And now you get to choose. So ladies, remember this: when he pulls away, don't panic, don't plead, don't chase. Just say, teach ice. I felt the shift. I respect it. I'm just matching energy. Watch what happens. Because when you walk in power, they always come back. Thank you. When a man pulls away, most women react emotionally, and understandably so. It's confusing. It's painful. 1 minute he's all in, texting you first thing in the morning, planning dates, making you feel like you're the center of his world. Then, out of nowhere, he becomes distant. The replies get slower. The energy fades. That good morning, beautiful text is suddenly MIA. And what do most women do? They start asking questions. They replay every conversation in their head, wondering what they did wrong. They reach out more, trying to pull them back with extra effort. Longer messages, more emojis, just checking in texts. But let me tell you something loud and clear. That is not the move. The truth is, when a man pulls away, it's not always about you. Sometimes it's about him. Sometimes it's about timing. And sometimes, yes, he's testing the situation. But here's where your power comes in. How you respond in that moment says everything about your value. You see, reacting emotionally may feel natural, but it sends a very specific message. That you are uncertain of your own worth. That your peace depends on his attention. And once he senses that the dynamic shifts, the more you chase, the faster he runs. The more you question, the more he feels like you're not grounded. And the more you push, the more he pulls away. So instead of acting from a place of fear or insecurity, this is the time to do something completely unexpected. Pause with power. That means you don't send that paragraph trying to explain how you feel. You don't ask him what's going on. You don't check in to see if he's okay. You simply breathe, center yourself, and lean back. Because real power is not in the reaction. It's in the restraint. When you pause, you create space. And in that space, a man gets to sit with the absence of your energy. That's when he starts to realize what he's really feeling and what he's really risking. And here's the key: your silence speaks. Your confidence shows. Your mystery becomes magnetic. When you don't flinch, when you don't chase, when you don't let his distance shake your peace, you become unforgettable. Because now he's not just dealing with any woman. He's dealing with a woman who knows herself. A woman who doesn't operate out of desperation. A woman who understands that attention is a gift and her presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. This kind of energy doesn't just make a man reconsider. It forces him to reflect. Why? Because he expected a reaction. He expected panic, and instead he got peace. You didn't fall apart. You fell back. And that move right there is what sets you apart. The mistake many women make is thinking their voice is their power. But sometimes it's their silence. When you choose not to chase, not to beg, not to demand explanations, you communicate one thing loud and clear: I am the prize. And any man who is meant to be in your life will recognize that. Not because you convinced him, but because you showed him. And let me say this: pausing doesn't mean playing games. It doesn't mean ignoring him with spite. It means shifting your energy back to yourself. It means pouring into your own life, your goals, your friendships, your peace. It means understanding that if someone pulls away, the last thing you should do is run after them. Because anyone who leaves your presence should feel it, not just in silence, but in how deeply your absence echoes. A woman who pauses with power doesn't lose. She learns, she observes, she waits, not for him to return, but for clarity to arrive. And sometimes that clarity brings him back better than before. Other times, it confirms that he was never supposed to stay. Either way, you win, because you never lost yourself. So the next time he pulls away, don't reach out in fear. Don't question your worth. Don't try to fix something that wasn't broken by you in the first place. Instead, hold your head high. Sit in your grace. And remember that silence, confidence, and mystery aren't weaknesses. They're your superpowers. The woman who pauses instead of panics is the woman who commands respect. She's the one men remember, even long after she's gone. And more often than not, she's the one they come back to. Not because she begged, but because she knew exactly when to say nothing at all, when the time comes to speak. After he's pulled away, gone quiet, or started acting different, your words matter more than ever. But not just what you say, how you say it. And this is where many people slip. They let frustration, confusion, or fear take over. And what comes out is a message soaked in insecurity. What happened? Why are you acting like this? Did I do something wrong? But if you want to truly stand in your power, you have to do something different. You have to speak with calm, with class, and most importantly, with unshakable self-worth. See, when you speak from a place of value, not need, you instantly shift the energy. Instead of coming across as someone begging for answers or chasing validation, you come across as someone who's not afraid to walk away from anything that doesn't align with her peace. You're not trying to pull him back. You're reminding him gracefully that you were never hanging on. You were choosing. There's a big difference between someone who's waiting and someone who's choosing. Waiting implies passivity, powerlessness, a hope that someone else decides your worth. Choosing, that's authority, that's clarity. That's a woman who knows she doesn't just bring something to the table. She is the table. So when you speak, you do it once. You do it calmly. You don't write a novel. You don't send a stream of messages trying to explain your heart. You simply state the truth, and then you let it sit. And here's the key. Truth doesn't need to shout to be heard. It just needs to be said with certainty. You might say something like, I notice some distance. I'm not here to force connection. I move with mutual energy. I wish you well either way. Or, I value communication and consistency. If that's not where you are, that's okay. I just won't stay where I'm not valued. That's not an attack. That's not a cry for attention. That's a declaration, a reminder, a boundary wrapped in grace. And it does something powerful. It puts the responsibility back where it belongs, on him. The truth is, when a man senses that you are reacting emotionally, he might pull back further. Not because he wants to hurt you, but because pressure rarely invites clarity. But when you respond with calm and class, you throw him off in the best way. He expected drama. He expected neediness. And instead, you showed maturity, peace, and strength. And let's be honest, real men respect a woman who respects herself. When you speak with self-worth, it shows that your heart is not for sale to the highest bidder. It shows that you know your time, your love, and your presence are investments, and you don't put those in places where there's uncertainty. You are not here to beg for energy. You are not here to convince anyone to see your value. You are not here to hold your breath while someone decides if they want you. You are here to offer something real. And if someone can't meet that with equal intention, equal clarity, and equal consistency, then your response is simple: you let go. Not out of spite, but out of wisdom. You speak your truth, and then you stop talking. Because the most powerful thing a woman can say is one sentence filled with grace and finality. Not a threat, not a guilt trip, just truth. And once it's spoken, you let him feel what it's like not just to miss your words, but your energy, your presence. You're calm. What happens next is up to him. Maybe he realizes what he had. Maybe he doesn't. But either way, you don't lose yourself. You don't keep talking. You don't re-explain. You don't apologize for having standards. You stand tall in what you said and let the silence do the rest. And here's the thing. Men remember women who speak with grace and walk with clarity. They remember women who don't need to be loud to be heard. Women who don't chase, not because they don't care, but because they care about themselves too much to beg. So when you do speak, don't come from a place of fear. Don't speak to hold on. Speak to let go of anything that doesn't match your worth. Speak with calm. Speak with elegance. Speak with certainty. And then move like a woman who knows that if someone can't recognize what she brings, they were never ready for her in the first place. When a man pulls away, it's rarely just random. More often than not, it's a test. Not necessarily a conscious one, but a test nonetheless. It's a test of how much you value yourself. A test of whether your love comes with boundaries. A test of whether your presence is something he can take for granted or something he should be afraid to lose. And make no mistake, how you respond in that moment will shape what happens next. Pulling away isn't always about another woman or even a loss of interest. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's emotional immaturity. Sometimes it's just his need for space. But other times, it's a pattern. a way to gauge your reaction, to see if you'll chase, if you'll break, if you'll tolerate inconsistency. And that's exactly why your reaction must be intentional. Most people don't realize the power of absence. In a world addicted to instant communication and constant validation, choosing silence is radical. Choosing not to react emotionally is rare. Choosing not to fight for someone who's withdrawing is a move only made by someone who knows their value. And that's the key. He needs to feel the weight of your absence, not just the sound of your words. There's something uniquely powerful about a woman who doesn't panic when someone pulls away. She doesn't beg. She doesn't chase. She doesn't try to prove she's worthy of love. Instead, she lets the space speak for her, because if her energy was truly valuable, if her presence was truly meaningful, he will notice the shift. He will feel the void. Letting someone feel your absence doesn't mean cutting them off with coldness or playing games. It means simply withdrawing your emotional investment where it is no longer being honored. It means choosing silence over self-sacrifice. It means saying, through your actions, you don't get to keep receiving my energy while giving me confusion in return. See, your energy is a gift. Your laughter, your attention, your kindness, your support. Those are not things that should be handed out freely to someone who's unsure about you. And the truth is, we teach people how to treat us by what we allow. If you keep showing up fully while someone else is halfway out the door, you're sending the message that your presence comes without standards. Standards. That you'll stay even when they start pulling away. That you'll tolerate half love, half effort, and half respect. But when you remove your presence, not with anger, not with spite, but with peace, it creates space for clarity. He either realizes that your energy is irreplaceable, or he confirms that he was never ready to receive it. Either way, you win, because you didn't lose yourself in the process. You didn't shrink. You didn't beg for what was already fading. You stood still. You held your ground. And that silence spoke volumes. And here's what happens when your energy was real, when it was powerful, when it was rare. He starts to feel the absence. He starts to miss the way you spoke life into him. He starts to crave the way your presence made things feel lighter, safer, more grounded. Because let's be honest, peace is addictive. And when you've tasted peace, chaos just doesn't feel right anymore. So if your energy brought peace, if your presence brought warmth, and if your love came with sincerity and soul, let him feel what life is